like the intro music.
This is new as of last week.
Yeah, it's just a riff from inside of Fat Bottom Girls that my buddy's band does, or did. Which we can't really use the real stuff because of copyright stuff.
Sure.
This passed the copyright deal because it's just sort of a riff. Anyway, hey everybody, it's Full Spectrum Cycling. This is show number 288, I believe, is what we're doing today. So, we've been doing this for a little while. Sometimes we have Tony.
Right.
We still have Tony. Sometimes we have JK, but just JK's hat's the only thing here today.
Yeah, that's what made it here.
And joining us today in place of JK is Joe. How's it going, Joe?
It's going well. Thanks for inviting me.
So, I don't know, typically we we just talk a little bit about stuff around Milwaukee a little bit, and then we talk a little bike stuff, and our guest talks about what they do, where they're riding, stuff like that.
What kind of bikes they have.
Sort of a free-flowing stream of consciousness sort of an idea.
Sounds good.
Kind of like what I would say it is, I guess. Big news to me today. I don't know if it's big news to...
Bullshit news is what it is.
To Tony, too, is that one of our favorite local bars that has a lot of good live music, Promises, closed down. Abruptly, yeah. There wasn't really any kind of we didn't know it was coming, basically, so yeah.
What it boils down to is fuck landlords.
Yeah, that's sort of what it sounded like, is they couldn't negotiate a new lease, and so...
I never got down there. Derek, what was his name? Pritzel played there.
Okay.
Like a Tuesday night, like every Tuesday. And I never got down there, and that's the one place
I was only there
I haven't been.
2 years.
Yeah. We saw a lot of local bands that our friends are in. That was a good place to go check it out.
WMC had a benefit there one night.
Yeah. We don't need less live music events.
Right.
We need more live music venues.
Provided they're not Live Nation.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing, is getting stuff that's like local music, not $100 to go. Stuff is getting so expensive on the bigger venues.
Falcon Bowl is now doing a lot of that.
That's true.
They've really stepped up their game in a big way.
I just found out a fun fact about Falcon Bowl is behind the main stage in the ballroom, there's a speakeasy.
Oh, no way.
And it's big enough for like 15 people. It's got a full bar. My buddy Paul was telling me about it. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. He's like, oh, no, it's really cool. So Gibson manages the place now, and I've known Gibson forever. So I'm going to get over there and be like, dude, let me see that.
Yeah, so is it it's not currently in use?
It is rentable.
Oh, interesting.
So
that would be kind of cool.
It's behind the stage.
It's behind the stage.
Nice.
It's pretty cool. I'm like, that is a very big venue that you don't realize is as big as it is until you're
right. And how many there's bowling lanes in the basement and all sorts of other
8
stuff.
8 lanes, 6 lanes?
Yeah.
8 lanes.
Well, Gibson, they ran Commie Bar for 5 years. Yeah, it was great. I love that place. I was one of the first mug members, and
nice.
I just happened to have $200 on me, or like
the Commie Bar,
Public House.
I know.
Were you a lifetime member?
Yeah.
Did you get a mug?
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, and they
Where's your mug? Did you get it?
Yeah.
Did they come to your house, return it?
No,
years after they close up, somebody calls me up one day, finds my phone number, and says, "Hey, I got a mug." And
that's cool.
He shows up at my house, and I'm like, I've got it ever since.
So my story there was Shay, one of the original founders, calls me up on the phone, and she's like, "Hey, we're trying to drum up support for the Public House. Will you become a lifetime member?" And I'm like, "Well, what's the deal?" She's like, $200. You get your own mug, and you get $1 off every pint. And I looked at her, I'm like, well, that's a losing venture for you. She's like, well, we might only be open for a year. I'm like, that's still a losing venture for you.
Well, it was $40, a year.
A year.
And then I think I did it right away. And then Gibson goes, hey, we only got a few mugs left. You want to get in on the lifetime thing? And so I'm like, how much? Well, you go 160. I'm like, oh, sure, okay. I happen to have the money. I'm in. Boom, I got a mug. And
I did the 1 year thing, and then they didn't need memberships after a while. Like when I was across the street, I didn't. Yeah, well, I guess you could. I would have still got the $1 off or whatever. But
my mug actually says Fat Burger. my bike name.
Oh, is that right? Mine says
I
Joe
love
Mama.
Nice.
So we're talking about Milwaukee a little bit venue stuff. Here's Milwaukee is part of a national trend. Did you see this?
Beer's
WPR.
breweries closing.
Yeah, it's like it's not a good trend.
No.
Apparently, it's a nationwide thing where we had somewhere close to 40 local craft breweries, however you say that word, and we're losing them. I don't.
But here's the deal: some of them shouldn't be in existence anyway.
Probably true.
Their beer is not worth selling.
Nobody, I think, that owns a brewery they started out with a lot of money.
Yeah.
From somewhere. And then they run it for a while and then they don't have any more money. It's sort of like running a bike shop.
Didn't Penske?
Yeah,
right. How do you make $1 million at a bike shop? Start with $2 million.
Start with $2 million. Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Penske said, "There's a lot of money in auto racing. There has to be because I lost it all there." I mean, it's yeah.
Something happened. He was trying to. They were working on getting F1 back at Indy, and it's now not going to happen. But I don't know exactly the whole thing. I just saw a blurb on it. So we got Joe here. He's our special guest.
Yeah.
Joe rides quite a bit.
Yes.
What are you riding? What kind of bikes you got?
I've got two specialized 29ers mountain bike. I've got a Trek 88 steel frame. I've got a old Tarmac SL4 Pro. They replaced my original Tarmac. One reason I buy Specialized is they guarantee the frame. So I got a whole new bike for the price of a Grupo.
Was it carbon?
Yeah, they replaced everything. It was
broke or?
Yeah, the fracture down at the bottom bracket.
That's what carpet fiber does.
Yeah, there were cracks in the rims, and so I took
the rims too.
Yeah.
Wow.
So everything. It was.
Joe rides hard.
Yeah, I do. I ride very hard. So the only original thing on there is the seat post and the handlebar stem.
So is one of the mountain bikes a fat bike?
I have a fat bike also.
Oh, also a fat bike. Okay.
Yeah,
Rocky Mounts?
Yeah, Rocky Mountain. Yeah. Blizzard.
Tristan sold it to him.
Yeah, Tristan Klein when he had his place down on is that Freshwater Way
That's the last place they were at. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where he was moving from there to South 2nd Street First Street when he went from there to there. So he was unloading his inventory, and he's like,
for sure.
And he's like, sure.
It's the perpetual game of bike shop
I
ownership.
needed a fat bike because I could do anything I wanted to do on my regular bike. But then I'm trying to stay in shape for the Berkminer, and these brown winters. You're like, okay, all right. And you get a little bit of snow, you get a little bit of ice, you get a little bit of grease. I'm like, why not? Give me a good price on it. And I ride that bike more than I ever thought I would. And
so are you doing the ski Berkey or the fat bike Berkey?
The ski. Yeah, okay. I've always done the ski. I've retired from that several years ago. It's just there's not enough time to train.
Yeah, well, there wasn't enough snow last year to do the Berkey either.
Yeah,
so.
That was crazy.
I think this year they're doing a lot better. We'll have Sealy Dave on pretty soon and give us an update on the snow, but it seems to be just snow globing every single day just about. So once they get a base, that stuff really packs in nice, and hopefully they'll be able to do both the Berkey and the fat bike Berkey this year.
That would be good. That would be fun to try the fat bike Berkey. I might do the Nokiman. I don't know. I got to talk to these guys on Thursday. Nokiman. It's up in Marquette.
Okay.
It's point to point, like the Berkminer. It's a marathon ski race.
Okay.
They do a half and they do a full. I would do the half just because I've only gone once. It was like I would ski more miles in that race than I would all year combined.
Yeah, so around here you can really only go out to Lapham Peak, right? It's the only place.
And that's where I've gone. And you get on the hamster track on the man-made stuff, and that
boring.
Boy, exactly. You might as well go to Pettit Center and race around. Yeah.
Yeah, somebody had an aerial shot of Cascade, Alpine Valley, and Devil's Head. And there's snow on all of them because they make snow, obviously.
Right.
Yes,
a good buddy of ours is actually the hill guy at Alpine Valley.
Yep.
But there's no snow anywhere else. It's only on the runs, basically. There's no snow in. I think they called it the snow donut is what they're calling it.
And come Friday, it's going to be 40 degrees again, which is going to not help at all for that.
Yeah. Well, they got snow south of us. They got snow north of us. They got snow west of us. They got snow east of us. But we're just in this little chunk of mid-central Wisconsin that's not snowy.
Well, I get updates from Colorado from all the resorts, and they're getting hit well.
Heavy, yeah.
7, 8
Yeah, for
inches
sure.
every other day. I mean, so good for them. They need it. That's their livelihood.
I was talking to Ron next door at Amorphic, the brewer and the owner, and I was talking to him because he had a steamboat shirt on.
Oh yes,
And he's a snowboarder, and I'm like, so you going to steamboat this year? And he's like, actually, my girlfriend did a bunch of research, and we're all going to France because it's going to be cheaper to fly to France, to go to this resort, and
No
to come
way.
home than it is to go to Colorado.
Wow. That says something.
And it's one of the only resorts in France that allows off course, a pre. You can do trees and you can do things like that.
Yeah.
He did say the difference is those if you hurt yourself in the trees in France, you get out. There's no one going to help you.
Yeah,
Whereas in Colorado, patrol will come in and
sure.
potentially help you. I lived in Colorado for 2 years and worked at a resort, so
Yeah.
Did you never had to rescue anybody?
never had to rescue anybody. Molly, really funny story is Molly had boots with titanium laces, they had crank laces,
Okay.
and we were doing a backcountry run. I'll get into that story later when we're not because it's long. And all of a sudden I saw her like looking at me, and one of her laces broke.
Is that stupid BOA system?
Exactly.
Those things
and-
are dumb.
And one of them broke, and then she's like, I'm going to try to get out of the trees safely because obviously your binding is loose and everything now. Your boot is loose. And by the time she got out of the trees, which was like another 20 yards, the other lace broke.
Wow.
Well, the idiots that designed these snowboard boots didn't realize that titanium is brittle when it's cold.
Huh.
So they had to replace her laces with stainless steel.
Okay. Well,
But I remember taking the boots to Boulder Ski Deals, and I walk in, and the guy sees me, and he runs into the back, and I'm like, oh, is he afraid of me or what? He comes back out. He's like, he has a pair of these stainless
right
steel.
away.
He's like, I know exactly what happened here.
that's kind of like I called because I don't. You weren't in the shop yet, but Jake from the Bike Fed brought his photon equipped bike and was saying that it's not engaging. He like when it's real cold, he'll pedal and nothing happens. And it doesn't drive the bike under human power either. So he can use the throttle and go, but not. So I called those guys at where we get the stuff at Electrify Bike, and Adam's like, yeah, we've been getting a few of those calls lately. The grease inside on the sprag clutch gets hard. And then it doesn't let the pawls engage. So hopefully we can get that fixed.
Yeah. Change out the grease.
Relubrify.
Yeah.
We used to get that with Alfine hubs too.
Yeah. In the
Shimano.
super cold, and when, shipped
Yeah,
right.
we'd use automatic transmission fluid in there.
ATF, baby.
Yeah, it actually did well. They finally shifted when it was below zero. That was kind of there. These are actually even down into the 30s or 20s. I don't know if it's a problem with all of them, but it's enough where he knew what I was talking about right away.
Right.
Yes.
You know it's an issue when they know immediately when you start describing it. Oh, yeah.
So Joe works up in Sheboygan, which is about an hour car drive north of here.
Yes.
Have you ever ridden your bike up there to go
I
work?
have several times. I probably twice a year I ride back from work, so I'll hopefully get the tailwind day and
Yeah.
Hey, it's all
jam
downhill.
on home. Theoretically,
Like this much.
Yeah, it's pretty flat down along the lake
I used
shore
to
there.
do it when he had the toad race in Shorewood.
Okay.
So I jam down on that Thursday and ride into the bike race. And I think 3 hours and 15 minutes was my best time. And it's crazy. It's 58 miles from my house to the shop. Point
One
to
way.
point.
Yep.
And then when I ride the bike and I just take a slightly different route, hugging the lakeshore and coming on the interurban trail up to Port Washington and coming straight down Lakeshore, it's 58 miles.
Wow.
Yeah. That's
So-
I think what mine was this
Yeah.
year when I paced it.
It's exactly the same
Yep.
distance. That's one of my better. I think I averaged, almost 20 miles an hour.
Well,
or
that
so.
must not have been on the fat bike.
No, it's on my road bike.
So
But the fatty, I'll ride, at Terry Andre, Park.
oh, it's so beautiful.
Get on the beach, and there's a lot of beach this year. It's really, really good shape.
Definitely got to get out there soon and check that out.
We have to see if there's any shoving. I love riding on that ice shove when there's just enough to bring it on to shore that you can just kind of?
It's starting.
Is it?
Yeah, it's just starting, but it's still a little. Unless you have studs.
Yeah.
If you have studs, you're good. But I don't. And
well, usually they get enough
if you got
sand in the water that kind of churns up and it kind of embeds itself in the ice.
Right.
That can be real sticky too, which is kind of cool. But, studs are the best.
Well, I wiped out twice trying to go over a creek cross on that because all of a sudden
that's moist.
All of a sudden
That'll
you
get you
see
wet.
that. All of a sudden you see that sand and ice mix, and you think you're good to go, and all of a sudden,
you're down.
back in. I'm like, oh man, and I shouldn't be getting hurt on the sand.
Do you have studded tires?
I don't, and I
Speaking of which,
Studded tires are on sale.
45 North, who's always sold those damn studs for $259, $249.
I don't remember. They were very expensive, but
what a tire?
A tire.
Yeah,
Come on,
they're
that's
much better now.
It's like a tractor tire cost.
Well,
But I mean,
when they came out with 2 tires that were going to cost me $500, I'm like, that's more than I pay for snow tires on my car.
Right.
I can't do it.
They're not that way so much anymore. I think these retail for $139 for a 4-inch, 240 studs, but they can be on sale a little bit now
But wasn't it back in the day you could just take 1/4-inch sheet metal screws and drive them in from the inside? And
if you want to goof around with a whole
right.
It's fun, though.
That was the old school, like 30 years ago.
I actually had a guy gave me a set of handmade where he had taken screws, screwed them through the inside with a nut, and embedded the nut into the stud. So I had like this long of studs on these 26-inch. I had them on the stump jumper I'm riding tonight.
Oh man!
You could ride on the side of a snowbank and come back down and be like, that just happened. They also weighed like 4 pounds a tire.
52 pounds for the tire.
And then that's all rolling weight.
Yeah,
then
but then
too.
you don't ever want to be on pavement with that either.
Oh no, for sure not.
Yeah, I think
They were fun because you could hit the skid and you could spark.
Little carbide in there.
Yeah.
Joe, so Sheboygan, we've been talking about Sheboygan, and you obviously work up there.
I do.
Tell our listener what you do up there in Sheboygan.
Okay, I manage the meat department at the Slow Food Market, which is in downtown Sheboygan. It's part of the Trattoria Stefano group. I was chef at the Trattoria for 26 years, and then when we opened up the store, I segued over to that property. I've been making sausages and cutting meat and doing all the preparation for all the restaurants through all that time, kind of as a side gig to being a chef and then working in the kitchen and creating the food there. So it was always a passion of mine, working with meats and foods and sausages. So now that's kind of what I'm doing predominantly. I smoke all the meats, make all the bacon, do all the charcuterie for the store, and supply the restaurants with their needs. And
you're considered a full. I think I read this, like a full animal butcher. Like you start with a full whole animal. That's
whole animal butchering. I'm not like the main guy. I have a young gentleman, Alex Wright. He breaks down the whole animal. I can take on pigs and lamb and stuff like that because I'm going to be 65 in 2 months, so it's hard for me to wrestle these big ass pieces of beef, But that's a young man's game, But
For sure.
I can once it gets broken down into subprimals, I can go from there. But again, with the whole animal, it's not like the whole animal comes in, not even split, because nobody has docks
and saws and stuff like that anymore,
or trucks that can carry whole sides of beef.
Yeah, that's heavy.
Yeah,
People don't realize how heavy that is.
That just doesn't happen. Nobody has carcass trucks like that anymore. So it comes to us in like 8 pieces, and then we take it down from there. But we search out. We get all the really great, unusual cuts that you can use and utilize, just like any other steak piece. A lot of lean cuts that come from the shoulder, which is the chuck, from the hind end, from the rounds. In the middle pieces are, of course, are the primo. And then you get your strip steaks or tomahawk steaks and ribeyes and tenderloin. And
I go to Milwaukee Steakhouse once in a while. They have a beautiful bone-in fillet. It's not a tomahawk quite, but it's got a good chunk sticking out of there.
Oh yes.
It's tasty, very tasty.
Yeah, a bone-in fillet it's like the porterhouse.
It's way better.
When you get the strip steak with the tenderloin. And you get the bone in between. So depending on where you're cutting on that end of the tenderloin, you get more. Then it becomes a T-bone, and the very tail end of it. But a lot of guys will take that strip off, leave the bone on the tenderloin, and cut it that way.
And that's where you get your tomahawk from?
No, well, the tomahawk comes from the ribeye. So you basically you just leave the big long bone on it, and trim it back down, and then you'll cut like a one bone piece that's weighs around 32 ounces or so. So it just looks cool, because it looks like a tomahawk.
Yeah.
I mean,
to me, you're just paying for a lot of bone. You just want to be a Neanderthal and beat your wife with it or something.
Right. Now, I have been to Slow Food. I have been in Joe's shop, and it's as a guy who grew up with a dad who was a butcher and a sausage maker. It's pretty fantastic.
That's interesting. My cousin's a butcher too. It's like, what the hell's going on? Butchers all over the place.
Sure. Oh. And look, Joe, let me see. Looks like you still got all 10 fingers. My dad did too. My dad did too.
I got him. Yeah, I knock on wood, man. I've been very fortunate.
Even though there's no hills between here and Sheboygan, really. We are at the top of the hill.
Top of the hill.
Let's talk about beer today.
Top of the hill is when we get to the top of the hill, stop and have a beer.
Yeah, stop and have a beer.
Okay.
Tonight's beer is Amorphic, DDH, Fluffy Logic,
Double dry
KRUSH, the new one.
The new KRUSH.
KRUSH.
You keep saying
calling it
KRUSH.
This is a new Fluffy.
I don't smoke weed. But yeah, this is along the lines. I mean, this is his ongoing, slightly modified double dry hopped IPA. Besides being a hell of a cyclist, Ron is also, quite frankly, he's by far the best brewer in the city right now.
I'm with you on that.
And I'm pretty certain he's state or better.
Yeah. Well, go win some. Well, they have won awards.
Yeah, I mean it is.
Hands down, I think Milwaukee for sure. I mean, there's a lot of good brewers around the state, but he'll match up with those guys too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you talked to him about cycling since he started this brewery, and how he used to ride 8,000 miles a year, and now he's riding about 4,000 or less because he's just got so much time going into the brewery.
He's got that cool ass gravel grinder bike on.
Gravel. Hey, speaking of gravel, you got to check this thing out. I'm pretty sure they must have an Android version too, but Wolftooth has a tire pressure recommendation app for your phone.
I heard about this.
It told me I should have 2.4 pounds in my fat bike tires, and I'm like, no, I don't think so.
I can't do that.
Not
2.5.
Going there.
You can't steer it.
4, maybe.
4 is tough.
I mean, on soft sand or snow.
Yeah, maybe
because
4.
I'm
6.
When your tire is so low pressured, especially on sand, snow is so variable. It's weird, but like Lake Michigan sand, if you're in that 4 or 5 pound range, the actual steering of your bike changes, and that's actually a good thing in the soft conditions. So it kind of just changes where you're. What I'm trying to say here is, it makes it better. Not only do you float better, but it actually steers better. Mm-hmm. And then obviously, when you're on harder stuff, you want a little more air because otherwise, it's like going this way.
It's like having a flat tire on your car. The
Exactly.
car keeps going veering off the road.
Oh shit.
Yeah. I'll run. Generally, I'll run like 6 up front and 7 or 8 in the back, depending on.
It's kind of where I am especially when it's packed. Like the river trails here get packed down pretty good. You don't really need the flotation quite that you would need if it was just.
Speaking of river trail, I've been out there twice a week for the past 2. It's about as good as it gets. So anybody here locally listening, and you're, east side or River Westerner, get out there and get on that trail. And
Strongman Sam sent me a picture of the dam at Clutch Park.
Damn.
And it's nearly rideable.
That river's not going to be rideable for a bit. Though.
I know, for not much longer. But yeah, I rode up that years ago with Schlabowski and John Trusky.
Yep.
That's a surreal experience. There's water on both sides of you. You're riding up a waterfall.
Yep.
And it's like, at any moment, you're like, I'm going in.
Yeah, Lunds and I don't know, were you on I did it with Lunds a time or two.
And riding up the falls at Clutch?
Yeah.
That's a steep drop.
Dude, it's fun.
It was
so much fun.
Yeah, I got to find a picture because there's like a hole under it and water flowing and stuff. And as long as the snowmobiles can go, I figure we're okay.
Yeah, that's how I look at it.
But I haven't seen that yet this year.
No. It's just about froze over. I was at Clutch Monday, and it's still flowing pretty good there. You can't ride there yet, but like all those trails that Metro Mountain Bikers have developed in Clutch Park, No, it's fun. I call it the North 40. So
Yeah.
I go out, I do the big loop on the river trail, and then head out there. And
He said it's just starting to get there.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All
I'm
right.
like, that's not just starting to get there. It needs to be a lot harder than that.
Right.
Right. Yeah. No, that's got a long way to go.
Do you ride at night a lot, Joe, when it's dark out?
I'm not a big night rider.
Okay.
I have, but I don't.
One of our,
Well,
well, I think I still have a couple sets of lights from Light and Motion. Remember those guys, Tony?
oh,
Yeah, who's now out of business?
35 years. They mentioned some stuff about the political climate not being good for U.S.-based manufacturers, and they do make stuff in the U.S., and I think after 35 years, they just had enough trying to be competitive with stuff overseas, which is a shame because they really are nice lights.
They're
And
phenomenal
I
lights.
think I don't know if they were still headquartered in Monterey, which might have something to do with how much stuff costs, but
Right?
yeah, it's too bad to see those guys go. It's like every time you open the bike news
Another, yeah.
paper, something's going away. And
is that like a recent closing?
yeah, just like they just announced it. so-
Yeah, like today or yesterday. And what's the other company that does the really cool anodized cranks? They're gone now, too.
Who they?
Crap. Let me see if I can find them. Really sad because they had some great looking components that were also really reliable.
Well, if you want to go find some anodized cranks from someone from a long time ago or something, might go to that Brazen Dropouts
Yeah, coming up.
swap meet coming up basically Saturday.
This coming?
Yeah, this coming the 18th or whatever. Yeah, 18th, whatever
Where's that
Saturday
at?
is. It's in Madison. I don't know if it's at the Alliance Center this time. It usually is, but it's big. It's one of the biggest in the Midwest.
It's huge, yeah.
Might be a good place to go find some stuff you might need.
I don't have it. I thought I had it here, but I don't.
No worries. We can talk about it later. What else? Is there anything else on here that's really exciting? Stuff we can talk about next week.
A while ago, I sent you a pretty neat interesting article of Hackaday where someone took an old bike hub, electric hub, and turned it into a water wheel to generate electricity.
I saw that.
That was pretty cool.
That's
Like,
interesting.
I like people that do weird shit like that.
Where do you have enough water flowing to do that?
River. Paul K from the River West 24, he's got a river right off the side of his house.
Oh,
his,
okay.
His cottage up in the Driftless region.
Oh, right on.
And I already talked to him. Like, dude, why are we not doing a micro hydro for your house? You can get them. They generate 450 watts of power to 4 kilowatts.
Wow. Well, that would
Like-
be sustainable.
Free power, dude. Why not do it? You
Yeah.
have the water right next to your cabin. I'm all about free power.
Free power.
I've gone down a rabbit hole with sand batteries now. I'm always thinking about weird shit.
Yeah,
guys.
Tony's got a weird streak in his brain there.
Solar. It's got some solar.
All right, Joe. Well, anything else you want to leave us with, bike-wise or otherwise? Great to have you on the show.
Get these fucking jalapeno beef sticks.
Go up
Plug in
there.
the sticks. Yeah.
Do you guys ship those nationwide?
No, we do not. No, but you can get them at Draft and Vessel. That's the one place that does sell them. I'm trying to develop more of a larger accounts for other people to do it. I know Tony at Husky was inquiring about it because the guy that he was using went out of business.
Oh,
Speaking
those
of
were
going
good
out of
too.
business, yeah. Well, the guy used to get all his spent grain, and he fed his animals with it. So he was, patronizing him, getting the snack sticks from him. He's obese, so he wanted to maybe get them from me. So that would be the next place that I would go to.
All right.
I'm all about microbrewery. I mean, when I started doing this, that was my whole mind thought, because I know all these microbrewers, and
Sure.
and it's the perfect snack stick for
Absolutely.
drinking beer.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a no-brainer. I just need to up my game as far as volume goes and get some people to help me.
Get
make
Ron
these things.
to get them going.
We
Yeah,
could.
really.
Slacker or Alan. Maybe somebody wants to carry some sticks.
Some sticks.
Yeah.
All right, everybody.
Sticks.
Well,
We did it.
thanks for sitting through this thing with us again.
Yeah.
And we'll be back next week. I think JK will be back next week.
Hopefully.